Hello, my name is Meshel Laurie. I am many things, but I'm also the author of Buddhism for the Unbelievably Busy. And thank you so much for this opportunity. The Sydney Mechanics School of Arts and Thomas Keneally Library. Yes, I did have to read that because it's quite a big title, but thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. My career started with stand-up comedy. That's where I really sort of began quite young. I was about 20, although that's not young now. At the time, there were no other 20-year-old comedians, but now everyone's 16 and doing everything. And I just did a lot of stand-up comedy gigs, 1,000 gigs before I got anywhere, and started off writing jokes. In the beginning, I actually did write, as in sat at a desk with a pen and wrote and tried to kind of formulate scripts, I guess, because I didn't know how else to do it. But then later on, I stopped writing jokes down and just kind of worked them up on stage and kept them all in my memory bank, which was a huge mistake because then when I took a break from stand-up, I forgot all my jokes. So probably I didn't even learn from the mistake the first time either. Probably 2 or 3 times in my career I've had to just start again, which I'm doing now, trying to write jokes again. You should hold on to your good jokes, kids. If anyone's wondering, hold on to your great jokes, write them down, keep them forever. But I did not do that, lost all my jokes, so I'll start again. But also, I got into radio. I was working at radio, but I decided that I really wanted to be a writer. I wanted to write columns and books, and I think working alone really appeals to me. You know, when you're a stand-up comedian, you work alone most of the time. You know, you hang out with other comics backstage and stuff, and you tour with other comics, but you really work alone most of the time. So I'm not a very good team player, is the truth of the matter. I really enjoy working alone and having complete control over things. So working in radio was a challenge. I coped with it better at some times than others, but certainly as I got older, I started fantasizing about spending more time alone and trying to make a living out of doing that. So that's where the writing started coming in, and I asked for help, which I think is something that I write about in this book, you know, in lots of circumstances. But also, I think when you want to do something, anything, and you don't really know how to do it, finding someone who's really great at it and asking them for their help is a way to go. You'd be amazed how generous people can be. So I started with Mia Friedman, who I did not know, had never met, and I sent her an email asking her to mentor me, basically, and teach me how to write like columns, you know, write kind of 800 words, snappy words about something. And she did. For months, I would send her a couple of bits a week, and she would, you know, send me back feedback and all of that, and she would then publish them on her Mamma Mia site. And over the course of time, she published more and more and had less and less feedback and sort of let me fly from the nest. And that was that. So I guess coming from a stand-up comedy background as well, I was very ready to work for free for a little while. I mean, in stand-up, that's what we do. We do free gigs until we get good enough to be paid. That's just the way it works. And so I was very prepared to move that way in writing as well, to write for free for a while and work my way up. I think that's an important lesson in show business in general, that you can't sort of assume that you're going to, or you can't expect to start at a certain level. You got to work your way up. You know, everyone always thinks that everyone else is an overnight sensation, and then you find out they've been working at it for a decade. So be prepared to put in the decade would be my advice, even though that's really probably very unhappy advice to hear. But that is what I did, both in stand-up and in writing, and that is what I suggest you be prepared to do. I'm working on a novel at the moment. I've never written fiction before. I've only ever written non-fiction, so that's exciting. I kind of didn't think I could do it, you know. I'm always filled with doubts before I start anything, of course, but I leapt in, and now I'm working away on it, and I love it. It's like putting together a jigsaw it's like kind of building a jigsaw puzzle as you go, putting it together, building bits to fit into other bits, and then you have to go back and alter earlier bits so it all keeps making sense. I mean, that is true of non-fiction as well. As I wrote these books, Buddhism for the Unbelievably Busy and Buddhism for Breakups, I kind of liked that process of going back and forth and creating a whole, but it's different with fiction. This was kind of figuring out how best to explain Buddhist concepts to people who don't know anything about it. Fiction is like how best to invent something, which is very fun, but it's very different. So hopefully I will get that book published. And then I'll probably write more books about Buddhism. I mean, Buddhism, makes me really happy, and working through things, working through kind of moments in my life and changes in my life, and Buddhist teachings always helps me. And then I think, well, I might as well take everything I've learnt back and write a report about it, which is what these books are, really. There's nothing in here I've invented. These are just Buddhist teachings I find pertinent to very normal, modern, Western issues. I go away, I find the Buddhism to help me, and I come back and write a report and share it with everybody else. So who knows what's next? Middle age is probably what's next for me. So maybe that'll be the next Buddhism for menopause. I don't know. Whatever hits me over the head next in my life. But certainly I'm not trying to convert anybody to Buddhism, believe me. It's just interesting ways of thinking around the human condition. I was raised Christian, so I got that. And this is just kind of coming at it from a different direction. And I guess I probably implement all of it and everything else I read and see, it all just comes together, doesn't it? You pick and choose from different places. But hopefully I have some Buddhism that you might be interested in. So don't forget, if you are thinking that you want to be a writer and it's your passion, just do it. That's the first lesson, just do it. But secondly, ask for help. Ask someone whose career you admire, whose work you admire, to help you, to mentor you, to give you feedback. Take feedback and don't take it too personally, and be prepared to have the old ego bruised every now and then. But also be prepared to put in the time. It takes time, but the time is beautiful. The time is the journey. The time is wonderful. So enjoy every minute of it. Thank you so much to the Thomas Keneally Library and I need to read it again, Sydney Mechanics School of Arts. I'm Meshel Laurie, and I really appreciate being part of this wonderful series. Thank you.